Welcome to the Sisters of the Shire Podcast. I'm Abby, and joining me today is my beautiful co-host Ashley, and we're here to take you on an exciting journey through J.R.R. Tolkien's incredible world, making it fun and easy to dive into. So whether you are a Tolkien aficionado or just curious about Middle-earth, this podcast is for you.
This season, we're exploring the unfinished tales. If you're already familiar with these stories, awesome, great. Get ready to uncover fascinating details and geek out over the rich lore behind them.
And if you haven't read the Unfinished Tales yet, like me, no worries. If you've loved The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, this is your chance to discover even more of Tolkien's universe with us. We promise engaging discussions and a lot of fun as we dive into these lesser-known gems.
So whether you're folding laundry, on a road trip, or just relaxing at home, tune in and join us for an epic journey through Tolkien's unfinished tales. Let's go!
Let's go! I almost said lesser-known jams, which I'm like, you could say like, that's my jam.
I mean, it's not wrong.
My jam.
Tolkien is my jam. I love it.
I know. How have you been?
Oh, I've been busy with work stuff. How have you been?
We are full-blown soccer season right now.
Fun.
Our weekends, my oldest is in a different league of soccer now.
Oh, because he's growing up?
I know. And so he has a game on Friday night and on Saturday night. And then my second has ballet and a soccer game tomorrow. Tomorrow. So it's like
I can smell the sweaty cleats from here.
I know. It's really cute. Like my daughter is going to go do ballet and then she's going to rush and get all her soccer stuff on. So her ballet bag has her ballet shoes and her tights and her leotard and then cleats and shin guards. And
that's awesome though, that she's not like just tied to one thing, like one stereotype. I love that she's
good at both of them.
Yeah.
I love it for her. We had a awesome first. So my son's first game is tonight, but my daughter's first game was last weekend, and we won the game. Woohoo!
Woohoo! This is the one you coach, yeah?
Huh?
This is the one you coach. Okay.
Yes, I coach her team. We're the Storm.
Ooh, I like it.
I know, we're dark blue, like a really dark, pretty midnight blue. So we're the Storm.
Nice.
So my rule, because they're only in third grade, my rule is please do not try to take a shot outside of the goal box because it's more likely that you don't have the strength to make it to the goal. Some girls on my team do. Probably like 90% of them do not have the leg strength to do that.
Sure.
So
you're just basically going to pass it to their team at that point.
Yes, you're rolling it to the goalie. Yeah. So I tried to drill this into their head. Like, please don't try to make a shot unless you're like either right before the goal box or like at the line of the goal box. I want you to try. Like because the goal box is pretty big from the goal. So even then, that's like a hard kick to do. And so at our first game, this little girl kicks it from midline.
Yes.
And kicks it. And I'm like, oh no. And then it like rolls and it just rolls past the goalie. The goalie just did not even, I don't know what happened to the goalie.
Or it was a surprise attack one? Oh,
so it just like rolled in like so slow and it barely crossed into the goal. And I was seriously like, oh my gosh. I'm like, now, none of my girls are going to believe me when I say, try to take a shot.
That is a fluke.
Out of the goal box. But oh my gosh, it was so funny. I was talking to her dad. He's like, well, no one's going to believe you now. I'm like, dang it.
Yeah, it's true. That is a one thing.
I know. I felt bad for the goalie because it was very much like, what? Like she was like, wait, what happened? And then it like rolled in so slowly. Yeah. So I'm like, you could have picked it up. But my other favorite was my goal. So my girls are still learning. They're only in third grade. They're eight years old. and my goalie, so I let them choose, or I make them try every position. So they're not stuck in one thing. They get to learn everything. So I had a girl who was in goalie, and then I had another girl that was in defender, and the ball was in front of our goal, just sitting there, not moving. And they were like, "You get it. No, you get it. No, you can get it. No, you can get it." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, someone do something."
You get it. I insist.
Oh my gosh, you get it, girl. Totally. And then, of course, the other team took advantage of that, and they ran and they kicked it, but the goalie like blocked it with her body. She didn't catch it. She just like blocked it with like, I think it hit her leg or something. She kicked like kneed out of the goal. But I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, the stress. I'm going to get an ulcer. For third grade soccer.
This is not the time. Sharing is not caring in soccer.
That's really, really fast, though. I'm going to tell a really, really fast story because it's one of my favorite things. So my son is in this league. It's a soccer club in a town next to us. And I don't know why the soccer club has a lot of homeschooled children. I have nothing against homeschooled children. I think they're great, but sometimes...
Unfortunately, there is a stereotype.
There is a stereotype. Okay. I love
Same with single children. I have an only child now, and I love... It's going to be a problem. But
yes, I love all of you. All children are great sometimes. Anyway, so there are some kids on this team where I'm like, oh, you don't get out a lot. Like, you don't have a lot of social things with other children. So he's playing, and I'm like, he's looking at me on the field. My son is looking at me on the field like, are you seeing this? Are you seeing this right now? And I'm just like holding back tears of like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. This is so funny to me. There was a boy who had to be like 5th grade, 6th grade, and he had a Kermit puppet, like a legit Kermit size, like regulation sized Kermit. Okay. He's holding it like he's puppeteering it. Like, so his hand's inside the Kermit puppet. And he's playing soccer with the Kermit puppet and like speaking like Kermit is narrating what's going on. And then he's trying to make the Kermit puppet kick the ball with like his little legs.
I can't.
And I'm like,
I can't.
My son is like looking at me, and he's like, because we love the Muppets, we love Kermit and stuff.
We are
like,
Kermit, yeah. Fox himself made a Kermit Muppet for, was that a summer project? He made a Kermit puppet that actually looks really cool. So it's not like we're against Kermit, but oh my gosh.
It was so funny. I like all the way home, my son and I were like laughing, not at the child. We weren't laughing at him, but it was so funny to watch. It was like, it's like, I'm going to bring my friend Kermit with me to soccer practice. Kick the ball, Kermit. Like,
oh my gosh. It is like legs. Real life Walter. It is real life Walter.
Yes.
Or is it
from the Muppet movie?
In the Muppet movie, yes.
Yeah, it's Walter. Oh,
is that what he thinks real life is like?
Yes. Oh my gosh, kills me. But my son is so sweet. Gosh. My son is very, very sweet, and he's very sweet towards kind of children that are, not in the big friend groups. And he goes like, "I like your Kermit puppet. That's really cool." Like, he's just like, he's so sweet. I know. Anyway, that's one of my favorite stories. And then also, Oregonian homeschool kids, my toddler was playing with other toddlers, and one of them, they were playing in gravel, and my toddler threw gravel everywhere because he's 3, and the other toddler's like, "Oh man, this kid got rocks in my kombucha." And I'm like, you're like 5?
And you're like Oregon the essence of Oregon.
Oregon homeschool child. I know. It was really funny.
Yes.
And I was like, I told
really
another
funny.
parent, like another parent heard it and they were like, what?
Anyways, let's talk about some Tolkien. So how much do you remember of last week?
Oh, it was the Mean Girls episode. I was listening to it.
Yes.
Going yet again. Where Turin he didn't get to go out and fight like he wanted to because King Thingol was like, how about you just be on my guard for a little bit and get some skills and like,
right.
you know, grow up a little bit more. And then he became friends with Beleg. And he was like, they became a super fighting duo and they were partners and they kicked all the orc butt together and they had really cool theme song, which someone needs to make a theme song for them. Yes. I'm thinking like the essence of like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles song from like the 80s.
I agree. 100%.
Or like the
X-Men or almost like a Trogdor thing happening too.
Mm-hmm. The X-Men theme song. No, like that's
if you know who Trogdor is, you need to message us immediately because you are our people.
I feel like the Teenage Mutant Turtles theme song is the mix between the X-Men theme song and Trogdor because it's like, super fatty teens, give me a break. Like very like, yeah. We're gonna talk about the things that are happening on the screen. Yeah. So they fight like orcs and they get like a lot of experience points. Their character development, they level up.
Good way of putting it.
And then he has to go back to the kingdom.
Right. His sword needs some sharpening.
Yep. His armor needs to be fixed or something. And he's there. And it's a total high school lunchroom Mean Girl situation where one of the elves is like, you're gross. You're a gross man. Your hair is dirty. Here's a comb. And he like threw it down. He like threw it down like he's wanting to start a fight or something with a comb.
A rumble.
Not using the comb, but like look at me. I'm offending you on purpose with this comb. Right. Like brush your hair.
But you don't even get it because you don't even know what a comb is, do you?
Yeah. Ooh.
Ooh.
And then it reminds me of the cats from the Puss in Boots movies. When they like throw down the comb. Ooh. And then Turin.
Saeros says something bad about the women of Dorlumen.
Yeah, he's being rude. He's being a bully.
But Turin is like, you can't talk about the women of Dorlumen without talking about my mother, so you're obviously offending my mother.
He was trying to be the bigger man and ignore it and be like, I'm just going to let him talk. I'm going to ignore it. But then he had to go talk about his mama. And he's like, oh, no. And so hell
no.
He threw something. A cup. And it hit his face so hard that it broke his jaw or like
it's like
or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Something was bloodied. Let's just say that.
Ew.
It's funny. The Audible guy even talks like he has a broken jaw. It's kind of funny.
Whoa!
Kudos to the Audible guy.
Getting his check. So, and then he just walked away, and it's very much like, I'm gonna get you, ma'ams. Take this outside. Right. And then now Turin has like bullies who don't like him because he's a dirty man, dirty, gross, human, mortal.
Remember, they use the term woodwose, and I have to say it. Woodwoth! Woodwoth!
Woodwoth! So that's what I remember it was a Mean Girls episode.
Well, it's about to get... This isn't Mean Girls. This would be like, I don't know, some kind of like Can't Hardly Wait or like... oh my gosh, you know what it's almost
Spider-Man and Flash.
I don't know that.
Oh.
You're more into superheroes than I am. It reminds me of A Walk to Remember in the beginning when the like high school kids are like taunting, not taunting each other, but they're like, I bet you can't do this. I bet you can't do that. I dare you to do that. It's almost like that, but it's taken too far. It's kind of like that. But also, I'm also thinking like Can't Hardly Wait or like maybe even like an American Pie movie where they just take a prank too far.
Well, if you watch the old Tobey Maguire movies, there's a scene in like a lunchroom that's very similar. Where he's been bullied and he's the outcast, and then he finally gets powers and then he hits the bully for once. Yeah. So...
Well, let's see what you think if that still holds up after you hear about today's tale. So, Saeros has just been hit in the face by a cup thrown by Turin after Saeros had insulted his mother in the weirdest roundabout fashion ever. It was like basically saying, like, your hair is messy, or what must the women be like? They must have messy hair and be naked all the time. That's basically what he said.
Ugh.
Ooh. Yeah.
Crazy.
So Cyrus's mouth is all broken and bloody, and Turin has just walked away, not wanting to push the matter further. So at this point, Mablung, he joins into the conversation, and he says to Saeros, quote, "What ails you tonight? For this evil I hold you to blame, and it may be that the king's law will judge a broken mouth a just return for your taunting."
Good job, Mablung. You know what? You didn't side with the bully. You're like, dude, what's wrong with you? Why are you being rude?
Yeah.
The guy was just trying to eat.
Saeros? Yeah.
The guy was just trying to eat his probably just soup.
You deserve your broken mouth because you are being a bully.
Bully.
But then Saeros says, quote, "If the cub has a grievance, let him bring it to the king's judgment. But the drawing of swords here is not to be excused for any such cause. Outside the hall, if the woodwose draws on me, I shall kill him."
Yikes. Hey, buddy. He's probably like, he says and he spits blood on the ground. Like, pfft.
Yes.
I'll get him next time.
But also, odd use of cub. Like, I get that he's younger than everyone, but cub?
I mean, he probably is a lot younger than everybody. By, like, a lot.
But then say, like, kid or baby or cub. It's just, I don't know.
Maybe because he doesn't consider him human and he's an animal.
Oh, okay. You could have said, like, pup then, too.
True.
But also this confidence that Saeros has that, you know, if Turin did draw a sword on him outside the halls, because obviously he can't do it inside the halls, because that's against the law, we can't do that. But if he drew it outside the halls, that Saeros would be able to kill him.
It's Marty McFly and Biff.
Ooh, that's a good one. Like, obviously, I don't know how well Turin has been, like, how well it's known what Turin has been doing in the Border Guard with Beleg. Like, I'm sure he was listening to Turin's stories and being like, sure, yeah, you killed 10 orcs, Turin, sure, yeah. But like
you weren't there. He wasn't there to like believe him.
Right. So I could see Saeros being like, oh, it's just a man. You know, he's just like any other man. You know, we elves are far superior. But like, how much actual fighting skills does Saeros have? Like, it sounds to me like he's more of like a politician kind of an elf than like a warrior soldier elf. Like, even Mablung is known as being the hunter. So Like, how does he expect to be able to fight it out?
Is he all talk?
Yeah.
He's all talk and golden combs.
Yes. And I think Moblung would be with me on this because he literally says in his response to Saeros saying, like, in response to, I would kill Turin, Moblung says, that seems to me less certain.
Moblung.
I know. Gotta love me some
Good
Moblung.
one. Good one. Got him.
But then he also tries reasoning with Saeros. Poor Moblung. You will see he has to be the commander of reason here. He's like, I'm gonna try and make you guys see sense, whether it kills me. So he says, quote, if either be slain, like if either you or Turin or Saeros be slain, it will be an evil deed, more fit for Angband than Doriath, and more evil will come of it. Indeed, I think that some shadow of the north has reached out to touch us tonight. Take heed, Saeros, lest you do the will of Morgoth in your pride, and remember that you are of the Eldar.
You're better than this, man.
Yeah.
Don't feed into the evil, man.
Yeah. Like, maybe some kind of weird wind from the north that Morgoth sent just made us act all like jerks today. Well, mainly just you. But, just keep in mind that, we are elves, and elves aren't supposed to behave like this.
Moblung's proving to be a good character. I enjoy him.
Yes. But also interesting thought that this even could occur in Doriath. I mean, granted, they're not so far from Angband and, Morgoth. But like the other times that this has happened where other places have been affected by Morgoth through, shadow or wind or whatever, it's been more like plague or sickness. Because like how Lalife died, I forgot what they called it, but the foul breath or whatever. But this is bringing like jerk faceness.
Maybe that's how it's like the long game. He's like setting them up to fight each other,
Yeah.
Like the Horcrux.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So anyways, Saeros basically responds like, yeah, sure, whatever. I know, I'm an Eldar, whatever.
I know I met with him, I know.
Yeah. So everyone goes to bed, but Saeros is up all night, and he's just festering, fuming. He's still mad at Turin, and his mouth really hurts, and he can't go to sleep, and he's just so angry. So, come morning time, Turin is on his way out. He heads back. He's going to head back to the north to his guard duty. But Saeros has managed to hide in the woods along his path for who knows how long he was hiding there, just waiting for Turin to cross his path.
Come on, man. You're better than this. Actually, you might not be. You might not be better than this.
No, this is the only way he could think to win. So the minute he sees Turin, Saeros, with a sword and shield in hand, sneak attacks him.
He yells it. Sneak attack.
Quote, but Turin, trained in the wild to wariness, saw him from the corner of his eye, and leaping aside, he drew swiftly and turned upon his foe.
Oh no. What's gonna happen?
Okay, so you are Turin, this jerk face that you've been probably wanting to fight, but knew you shouldn't fight, attacks you first. And not only that, he tried to be sneaky about it. So, what would you say if you were Turin?
If I finally, I don't know, it can go two ways. He can either say, I don't want to fight you, man. Like, leave it alone. Or he can be like, you know what? I'm tired of this. Let's just get this over with. Then he's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's very much like, I know I can be.
I was looking for an excuse to do this, and you just gave it to me. Like.
So you're like, all right. Twisted my arm. He's like cracking his neck. Yeah. Let's get this going. Come on.
So what Turin does say, and I'm sorry, the way the Audible guy does this, and I sorry I reference that so much. I listen to it a lot when I'm am making my outline. It just throws me every time he does this. He just yells, quote, Morwen! He says more, but the fact that that's the first thing he yells, I would be like, no, my name is Saeros, dummy. Like, does he even know Turin's mother's name?
Looking over his shoulder, like, who? Huh? What?
So the full sentence is, Morwen, now your mocker shall pay for his scorn.
Oh my gosh, in my brain, this is the scene. He's like, haha, like, Saeros comes out of the woods. He's like, haha, I've got the advantage on you. And Turin turns around and he's like, Morwen! And then Cyrus is like, Morwen? And then he's like thrown off for just a second. And then he like just gets tackled. Like, he's like thrown off for just a second. He's like, wait, huh? And then it's like,
well, maybe that's okay. Okay, let's picture that. Let's go with that. Now your mocker shall pay for his scorn. Like, wait, who's Morwen? And then immediately after saying this, Turin's first blow, he, quote, clove Cyrus's shield. So
Whoa.
Cyrus's shield is broken after one hit.
That's the strength of his, like, no one messes with my mama.
Yeah. And you think this would give Saeros some pause, like, dude, this guy's strong. Or like, oh no, I have no shield now. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. But no. They continue to fight. And while Saeros might be an elf and maybe had some combat experience once upon a time, quote, Turin had been long in a hard school and had grown as agile as any elf, but stronger.
Whoa. Is it kind of like when people are like, I'm good at fencing. I've done fencing lessons. And then it's like, I've had to fight for my survival and not have people kill me. And then it's like that kind of street fighting compared to like elite lessons from like
I could see that.
instructor.
Yeah. I think that's a very good example.
He fights not necessarily dirty.
But he's been used to fighting
like,
orcs.
It's giving country club versus the streets.
Yes, I like it. But I love that he had been long in a hard school. Like, can you imagine just, like I said, Turin probably didn't have a ton of experience with a sword growing up. He had a weird childhood where that wasn't like an option. And then he goes to the border guard where all of these elves have probably been training for their whole lives. And he has somehow, in his awesomeness, risen to their level and beyond even. So he has been in a hard school for 3 years. Like,
he's committed.
Yeah. So also, what did you expect, Saeros? Like some wimp? Like, did he really think that he was just like, not doing anything?
Oh, don't hurt me! Don't hurt me!
Yeah. Ooh, scary elf! Like,
I'm just a mortal man made of pudgy flesh. Yeah.
No, Turin's like, I eat orcs for breakfast.
And Cyrus is like, wait, what's going on? Wait, what's happening?
So Turin wounds Cyrus's sword arm, which makes him drop the sword. And then Turin steps on it. Somehow it doesn't break like Sauron did. So, flaw in that story. Again. Yeah. And this is the point of the story where things should have just stopped. Turin, took away the sword and, just walked away. Sunshine, rainbows, the end. That's how it should have gone. But no. I wish there was more of an explanation on where Turin even got this idea, let alone Tolkien. But this is what Turin does. And if you remember the Silmarillion version, it's not going to deter much further than that. But if you're hearing this for the first time, brace yourselves. So he says to Saeros, quote, Saeros, there is a long race before you, and clothes will be a hindrance. Hair must suffice. Uh-huh.
Sounds like hazing.
Yes. Like, I kind of get the whole hair tie-in thing with, like, what he was saying about his mom earlier, but, like...
And his comb.
I guess. Yeah,
Weapon.
but, like, yeah, it's a stretch. Quote, and it's just going to get worse here. And suddenly, throwing him to the ground, he stripped him, and Saeros felt Turin's great strength and was afraid. So now he's afraid. Not when Turin broke his shield in one blow. Not when Turin had taken away his sword. Like, what did he think he was going to happen? I mean, obviously not this, but like...
It's very unsettling and like, huh? Like,
yeah,
it's not how a fight usually would go. Like, orcs don't do that. Or like... And I think, too, it's not necessarily, it's like a humiliation thing.
Right.
But also it's like, you think you're better than me with your fancy clothes and, you know, all your beautiful things. And then he just like rips them off and he's like, you are not a human, but like
we're mortal. We're of the same flesh. I mean.
Yeah. In some way, like, yeah.
In some way, yeah. Quote, but Turin let him up, and then, run, he cried, run, and unless you go as swift as the deer, I shall prick you one from behind.
What? Faster.
So many questions. Can you just prick someone from behind with a sword? I feel like...
too hard.
Stab them. Yeah, exactly. Like, especially while running. Like, I can't imagine just like a little poke.
That's so weird.
Yes. But then, okay, for some reason, all I can picture is maybe him, like, smacking his butt with the sword, like, with the side of the sword to, like, hurry him along. But even then, how do you not cut them? Like, I don't understand how this would actually work. Maybe I'm thinking too hard about it, but I'm just...
He takes, like, a part of his robe and he twirls it around like towels in a locker room. He's like...
Oh,
he's, like, whipping him.
Okay, see, that would almost make more sense to me. Is I will whip you with a towel, sir.
Get out of here.
So Saeros obviously,
you elf son of a gun,
freaked out of his mind, starts running, and he starts screaming and yelling for help. Quote, but Turin came after him like a hound.
Random.
I know. It's so random. And however he ran or swerved, still the sword was behind him to egg him on.
Faster, boy! Faster!
Yeah.
I'm gonna stab
This
you.
is straight up something from, like, Deliverance or something, like, so weird. So weird.
Some, like, freaky fraternity, scary...
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, where did Tolkien get this idea? Where? I want answers.
That happened in his real life.
Hey, maybe. But also, changing gears here, what do you think Turin really would have done if Saeros had, like, stopped running, or even, like, maybe he tripped and fell or something and he caught up to him? Like, would he have really have stabbed him or killed him even?
No.
Like, Saeros is running thinking that. Like, did he really think he was going to die? Like, I'm just so perturbed by this whole thing.
Hey, those mortal men, like he said, they're wild. He doesn't know what they're capable of.
The woodwolf that's after me!
The boogeyman.
So, somehow, Saeros' screaming was heard by elves nearby. It's hard for me to picture, like, the physical location of the events here. Like, Turin was going out the thing... Saeros attacks him, and then they have this duel, and then he does this, still with no one around, really, but it's the screaming, and then they catch up to them while they're running. I'm so confused. But either way...
elven ears, elven eyes to know where they are.
But they didn't hear the other stuff?
I guess not. They tune it out.
So, Yeah. Um, so they come running, hearing this screaming, and I can only imagine the shock and confusion just seeing this scene.
They like run up with like like in scenes where like someone's freaking out and like the villagers come and run up and they have like chairs and like like anything they grab to like help out, and then they see like what is his name? Saeros like running past. I'm like, he's gonna kill me. They're like, huh? Like, what's going on? And then turn behind him like, faster, boy.
It almost reminds me of that part with Lion King with Timon and Pumbaa. She's gonna eat me!
Yeah, exactly.
So Moblung, of course, is one of the people that hears this, and he comes on the scene, and he's very concerned because he sees this scene and he knows what happened last night, and he just immediately thinks, quote, "Malice that wakes in the morning is the mirth of Morgoth ere night."
He's probably like eating in breakfast. He's like, oh, come on. All right.
So it's weird that this is like a practice saying. Like, this isn't just something he thought up on the fly. It sounds like something that people have, like, it's like a word of like wisdom. It's
fathers teach their kids.
Yeah. So, like, how many times has something like this happened that it has become this known saying that malice that wakes in the morning is the mirth of Morgoth ere night?
I mean, that's a good saying.
It is a good saying.
If you wake up on the wrong side of the bed.
Yeah. It's just going to make Morgoth laugh later. So it's really it's hurting Moblung's heart. He's like, this disagreement, it's lasted all night. And then this taunting of Saeros, it's just wrong. Quote, "It was held, moreover, a grievous thing to put any of the elven folk to shame, self-willed, without the matter being brought to judgment."
So
we don't embarrass people like this. Like, if you want to embarrass someone, at least we can all decide on it, and then we can decide if we are going to all embarrass him. But you can't just decide it on your own, dude.
Yeah. We're better than this. We're elves.
Yeah. This is not how elves sort these things out. But I was thinking about it. Still, where did Turin get this idea? Like, it almost sounds like more of a dwarf thing. Like, I could almost see a dwarf doing something like this.
Yeah.
But Turin's had no dealings with dwarves. So, I mean, were any of the Easterlings like this in Dorloman, maybe?
Maybe that's what he saw them, how they tortured the Easterlings tortured the men of his village.
Oh, yeah. But even that's to do it to that would even make it more cruel.
I know, because then he'd be like, "Oh, my people got tortured this way," and then he goes and does it himself.
Yeah, even worse. But the thing that Tolkien wants to make clear is that, quote, "None knew at that time that Turin had been assailed first by Saeros, who would have slain him."
That's going to hold up. That's going to be hard to hold up in court, you know?
Right, yeah. So just because Saeros attacked first, that makes this, the stripping of an elf of his clothes and chasing him through the woods with a sword, somewhat okay, apparently.
He's got a free pass.
Yeah. But in another thought, let's say Saeros did manage to sneak attack Turin and kill him in some wild scheme. What was his plan afterwards? Like, okay, I'll just hide the body. No one's going to miss this guy. It's not like he's the adopted son of the king or whatever, or
the only mortal man that's like around.
Like, he would have been missed eventually. And then the other idea is like, okay, maybe, Saeros kills him and he's like, oh no, he attacked me first. Would anyone actually have believed that? Like,
yes.
What was your plan, Saeros?
You've got witnesses of you being a bully.
Yeah. So, anyways, Moblung sees Turin and yells to him, Turin, hold, Turin. This is orc work in the woods. Like, stop behaving like an orc. Let's handle this like elves, or like at least civilly. But Turin, I imagine just like running past him, says, quote, orc work in the woods for orc words in the hall. I'm behaving like an orc because Saeros behaved like an orc first.
Boys, stop fighting.
Yeah.
Children.
So Turin continues chasing Saeros. The elves are trying to help and catch up, but Saeros, he's really scared. Turin is running really fast. Saeros comes to a ravine with a stream running through it. So he's going to have to jump or go a different way. And it's a far jump. It says it's wide enough, even a deer, far enough too much for a deer to jump it. But Saeros is so scared that he tries jumping it himself. Saeros manages to get a foot on the other side, but not solidly enough. He falls backward, breaks his head on the rocks below, and immediately dies.
Oof.
Quote,
Rut.
So he ended his life in Doriath, and long would Mandos hold him. Mandos is going to put him in a timeout.
Think about what you've done.
Yes. But I also, okay, have you ever seen the movie Stardust? I freaking love the movie Stardust.
I love that movie.
Okay, so when these brothers...
I love that movie.
Okay. So when these brothers die, they show up as ghosts, and they show up how they died. So like one guy was
Smooshed.
like, yeah, so his face is all like, you know, squished,
Smashed.
and like his hair is all like as if he was falling still. One guy like has like an axe in his head. One guy was killed in a bathtub, and so he was killed in a bathtub, so he's like naked. So I imagine that when people die, they show up to Mandos how they died. So I imagine this naked elf with this massive head wound, and Mandos like, so what happened to you?
He like shows up, and Mando just doesn't even say anything. He just looks at him. He's like, huh. That's a first. Gonna write that down real quick. Hold on.
And Sarah says, I imagine it's like, I don't want to talk about it. Like,
Yeah. He pulls out his phone and just takes a picture.
Because as far as deaths go in the Silmarillion and now in the Unfinished Tales, this might be one of the more embarrassing ones. Like, how did you die? Oh, I, got killed by a Balrog. I almost won, though. It was a close fight. How did you die? I was naked and was running away from this scary man, and I thought I could jump across this ravine, and I couldn't jump across the ravine, and I fell.
And I hit my head.
And I died. Like, if you can think of any other more embarrassing deaths, I'd love to remember them, because the only other one I could think of was the guy that later on, Turin is going to try killing Glaurung the dragon, and this other guy gets kind of recruited to help him, and they're crawling underneath Glaurung, like trying to sneak attack him and poke him in the belly, and Glaurung moves in his sleep, and
Smooshes him.
a rock falls on him and kills the guy. Like, that's also kind of embarrassing. Like, everyone else around you got killed by a dragon, you got killed by a walk. No walk hit your head. Oh,
I got a rock.
And I got a rock. So anyways, Turin stands there staring at what just happened. I would love to know what was running through his head. But they do tell us, actually. Tolkien writes, and he specifically writes, and he thought. Like, Turin is not saying this to anyone. He is thinking this. He says, quote, "Unhappy fool! From here I would have let him walk back to Menegroth. Now he has laid a guilt upon me undeserved."
Great. Now he's going to make me feel guilty because he died.
Yeah.
Ugh. If he would have just calmed down.
Mm-hmm. But also, do you really think he would have let him walk back? Like, how would that have, like, okay, I think I've embarrassed you enough. You can walk back from here. Like, do you really, how would that have gone down? I don't see that going down. Like,
I'm just kidding. Kidding.
Yeah. So
Turin,
the other
you're
elves
like
finally
jerk.
catch up. Yeah. They stand next to Turin, and they're all kind of looking down at Saeros' dead body. Quote, then after a silence, Mablung said, alas, but come back now with us, Turin, for the king must judge these deeds. Alas. That's all you have to say. Alas. Well, that sucks. Anyways, let's go get you sentenced to see what the king has to say. Alas.
He's like standing
I'm
over
going to say that when
the ravine, like, when you're what?
Like, next time something bad happens, alas. Oh, we're at a Cheerios. Alas.
Well, like I get to see him just standing over the ravine, like his hands on his hips, like, boy. Yeah, all right. How are we going to explain this one?
Yeah.
Well, let's get to stepping. Let's get home.
Yeah. Yep. Turin, however, doesn't want to hear King Thingol's judgment, thinking basically, so if Thingol has this guy who was a jerk on his council and thought that was a good idea, I cannot trust this guy's judgment. I cannot trust this guy's headspace. Like, he's not going to forgive me for killing him, whether it was an accident or not. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he says, quote, I abjure his law and his judgment. Like, I don't care what his laws are or his judgment says.
I'm my own man.
Yeah. And then Mablung, always trying to reason with these people. He's like, again, if I could just make you see sense, please. He says, quote, your words are unwise. You shall not turn renegade, or like, you shall not turn into a runaway or a fugitive. I bid you return with me as a friend. And there are other witnesses. When the king learns the truth, you may hope for his pardon.
Yeah, the easy way.
Yeah. Like, you're obviously not thinking clearly. You don't want to be a runaway or some fugitive. You're my friend. I want to help you. Let's just go back. We'll talk to the king. We'll explain everything that happened. I'm sure it's going to be fine. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Quote, but Turin was weary of the elven halls, and he feared lest he be held captive. And he said to Mablung, I refuse your bidding. I will not seek King Thingol's pardon for nothing, and I will go now where his doom cannot find me. You have but two choices, to let me go free or to slay me, if that would fit your law, for you are too few to take me alive. Like, what? I'm out. I'm done with these elves, their fancy halls and their jerk-faced people. I'm just going to go my own way.
Oh my gosh.
Mablung certainly doesn't want to kill Turin. You know, he knows Turin. He knows he's not a bad guy. But he also knows him well enough that if he says he's going to go, I think we're past reason here. So we're not going to make you come back with us if you really don't want to. So they let him go. And Mablung says, one death is enough.
Mablung, you're a real one.
Mm-hmm. And just to seal Turin's thoughts on the matter, I feel like this is the point where, like, anything you say will be held against you in a court of law or whatever the Miranda rights are. Because he says, maybe you shouldn't have said this. Quote, I did not will it, but I do not mourn it. Referring to the death of Saeros. May Mandos judge him justly. And if he ever returns to the lands of the living, may he prove wiser. Farewell. Like, I didn't want it to happen, but I'm not sad that it happened. I mean, he sounds like he was a dum-dum anyway. So, yeah, I'm sure that sounds real innocent.
Oh my gosh.
But in true Mablung fashion, so with Turin's saying farewell, Mablung says, fare free, for that is your wish. But well, I do not hope for, if you go in this way. A shadow is on your heart. When we meet again, may it be no darker.
Mablung, you're such a good guy.
Mm-hmm. And to that, Turin made no answer, but left them and went swiftly away. None knew whither.
Oh my gosh, Turin. You're really disappointing me, man.
Mm-hmm.
Really disappointing me.
Okay, so for those of you who did read the Silmarillion version versus this version, I kind of want to know your thoughts. I'm not sure if how much the wording is different. I don't remember, to be honest. But the feeling I got from Turin in the Silmarillion version was that he did feel guilty. He felt like this accident was his fault and he couldn't go back. Oh my gosh, Lion King again. He was Simba and he's like, no, I killed someone. I can't go back there. They're all going to hate me. It's my fault. It was all my fault.
The guilt is too much.
Yeah, that's how I felt in the Silmarillion. This one, I'm more like elves are jerks, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to be here because I don't want to deal with that again. His reason for leaving is less clear. But it's not guilt. It is not guilt at all.
He's like, I'd do it again because they're jerks.
Yeah. I really feel like he would. So I'm curious.
I like the Silmarillion version.
Yeah. So that's actually where I'm going to leave you today.
With a jerky teenager man? No.
Mm-hmm. But next week, we are going to hear from one of your favorites.
All right.
And it's in a cool way that's not in the Silmarillion. So get ready for that.
Ooh. Okay.
Well,
awesome.
Yes. Thank you for joining us on this epic journey through Middle-earth and Beleriand, I should add. You can follow us on Instagram at Sisters of the Shire Podcast. Big shout out to our patrons, Dan, our dwarf friend of the Shire, Krishane and Tom, our elf friends of the Shire. You guys are amazing. We appreciate what you guys do for us every month. Couldn't do it without you. I cannot stress enough how much we appreciate it. It really, really, really does help.
We love you guys.
If you want to join our fellowship, you can go to patreon.com/Sisters of the Shire Podcast for just $3 a month. I mean, that's nothing. You could become an elf friend of the Shire for $7 a month. So maybe like a Starbies. You could become a dwarf friend of the Shire for $9. So like a really big Starbies, I guess. You could be a man or women friend of the Shire. And that's just a month. That's like one drink a month.
Not an Easterling.
I'm sure you guys get more than that in a week.
If you're Ashley.
But if you can't do it, shut up. If you can't do that, though, we get it. Your support does keep these tales alive in other ways. If you want to give us a rating or a review on your favorite podcast platform, that feedback helps build us and makes other people that like Tolkien, makes our podcast easier to find. So if you could do that, that would make our day as well. Whatever you want to do.
Word of mouth,
yes.
Sharing, say, hey, stealing the aux cord in your friend's car and just plugging it in and making them so they can't turn it off. And you're like, you're going to listen to this with me if we're going to ride together. Forcing them. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
but yeah, we really appreciate it.
Yeah. As far as world news, no new countries, but some overthrowing. Austria overtook Finland and Denmark. Italy overtook the Czech Republic. The Philippines overtook Switzerland and India. Russia overtook Kuwait and Taiwan. And Mexico, hadn't heard from Mexico in forever, overtook Turkey and, yes, Abby, your Colombia.
Mexico man.
Yeah.
Come on.
And we're up to 17,000 plays.
Whoa.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. We appreciate all you guys listening. If you ever want to just give a shout out, like that Brazil guy did. We love it. We love hearing where you guys are from. We love getting to hear your stories and getting to know you guys as listeners. So feel free. We're really nice, we promise. If you cannot tell, we are very nice. We don't really have a mean bone in either of our bodies, really. If you want to message us, comment, anything, we would love to hear from you.
It's true. It's true. We love you all.
Yes.
Well, thank you for teaching me today.
You're welcome. And until next time, I've been Ashley.
And I've been Abby, and this has been the Sisters of the Shire podcast. And we're so happy that you joined us today, and we hope that you can join us next time. Bye!
Bye!
Thank you for teaching me a day.